up, everybody? I'm Sal Kalani. This is Reggie Steele. And welcome to Spitballin. Spitballin.
All right, what's up, everybody? I'm Sal Kalani. This is Reggie Steele.
And welcome to Spitballin. Man, we out the gate with the original, the first ever flyer for the Sea Biscuit.
How'd you know that was the first one ever?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing that. I was like, man, whoever made this cannot draw.
Look at how I you know what it's based off of, right?
I don't.
That's the Sex Pistols cover. Never mind the Bullocks. Here's the Sex Pistols. That was the original cover and stuff.
Okay.
And so you could tell like this is cut and pasted out. Yeah. And that's how I had to do it. But here, this is something
I give you props, man. This goes way back to your beginnings, man. Like you've always been a creator, right, and an innovator.
This was Sid Vicious in the Sex Pistols, and I just photoshopped my face on it. And then I worked at that copier place, so I made a bunch of copies there, and I hung it up on the wall. But look at his shirt. The closer you look, it's two cowboys with their dongs out, and their dongs are about touching.
Oh wow, I never noticed that.
I know, dude, and I had it hanging up in the office.
Dude,
I had no idea.
Dude, this is like a Disney movie. You know how Disney movies have all those boners in them, right? Like in the background. You ever heard about that? You haven't heard about all the sex scenes in Disney movies where it's like someone gets a boner. There's like it's just like sex related stuff in Disney movies, man.
Cartoons?
No, the movies, the Disney movies.
The Disney movie,
the Disney. I'm sorry, the Disney animated movies. Yes, you can look it up. There's tons of scenes where it's like imprints of cocks and balls, and it's crazy, man. Subliminal stuff in Disney. So that was your subliminal message. Oh, man.
I mean, that I didn't know. I mean, I liked my rock stars. Here was my other one, which again I had to cut and paste because we didn't have the digital thing yet. I didn't have the ability yet. Jimmy Hendrix.
Look at you on Jimmy. Nice. Ray, hold up. Before we get into all this, let's go ahead and let our audience know what's happening today.
So we got a guest today.
We have a guest today who's
an author.
Co-author.
OJ Patterson. Here's the book right here, Bay Area stand-up comedy. And him and Nina G wrote it. And we know OJ through comedy, and he's writing his courting comedy blog. So he's ready to jump in if you want to bring him in, Reg.
Wait, hold up. Before we do that, I just want to say that you're in the book. Sal is in this book.
Yeah, I'm in the book. We'll talk about it. We'll bring it up, baby. Part of history, baby.
I want to ask you about the.
Well, go ahead. What?
I want to ask you one thing. First off, I remember the Sea Biscuit. I love the Sea Biscuit. It was one of my favorite spots to go.
That wasn't that great, right? But go on.
No, it was awesome because it was just a fun place to be with all the comics.
Right.
It was fun. But what I want to know real quick before we start this is, how did you come up with the name Sea Biscuit? Where did you get that?
That was the name of the coffee shop.
Really?
You didn't know that all this time?
I didn't.
And you know where they got that from? The horse.
Yeah, but I thought it was like
the horse was big in the Bay Area. The Tanforan races were right over there in San Bruno.
Okay.
Or wherever he ran. So Sea Biscuit ran there. And then, that's all the cafes. Just named the cafes called the Sea Biscuit Cafe. I don't even know if it's there anymore.
I thought you came up with this whole thing on your own. I was like,
man, no, why would I pick that?
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's why I was like, why would he pick that?
Did you ever notice on the name of the cafe?
I probably did, but just didn't even pay much attention to it.
Yeah, it was very small. You couldn't really see it anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you can introduce him, bro. You ready?
Okay. I'd like to welcome to our guest today is co-author of a book about the history of stand-up comedy in the Bay Area. Sal and I both know him through stand-up in the Bay. So please welcome to the show, OJ Patterson.
There he is, Charles Orenthal James Patterson, baby.
Orenthal. They went all in, huh? They went all the way in with the.
They wanted all the syllables.
Yeah,
all the government
I'm just glad they didn't give you his last name too. That would just be uncomfortable. So, how are you, OJ?
How's it going?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right.
It's good to see you.
Nice. You look like you're coming from heaven right now. Your background's so white. I'm like,
we got a new house out here in West Covina, so it's just like once you move in, it's real hard to start painting and shit.
Yeah. Wow, you looking like like Bruce Almighty when he meets Morgan Freeman coming from the clouds.
Nice.
Looking good.
How do you like LA?
It's cool. Nobody knows me. I get to hike without running into somebody.
That's awesome. Anonymity.
I don't like that. I mean, I grew up in the Bay Area, so there was an element of like, all right, this is familiar. I like the fog. I like like Bart. I like people going crazy on Bart. But from just moving here to be here, it's very nice. Just the weather and everything is very nice. If trying to achieve anything other than living here, that's on y'all.
That's a whole nother world.
Yeah, I hear all about it. I'm still up here in the Bay, bro. So
okay.
Yeah, so I'm chilling. I never moved, but I'm good enough. I'm good. I
like the shorts. I could wear shorts down here. That's nice. Show off my hairless shins. People appreciate it. But you're right. Business wise, it's a whole, and it's so big down here and saturated and spread out, and it's just crazy. We're up north. It was so small. Everybody kind of knew each other.
Yeah.
So OJ, man, I'm excited about this book, man. I honestly didn't know much about it until Sal hit me up and was like, yo, there's a book about the history of Bay Area comedy. So
here it is. Bay Area stand-up comedy. It just dropped in February.
Nice.
Before we get in that, let's get into his because OJ he had one of the most famous blogs in comedy. You still do courting comedy?
Every once in a while, I'll get like a press release that is from somebody who used to be in the Bay, and I'll like write up a little something about it. But it's hard to be accurate when you're living 400 miles away.
Right.
And the whole thing was like, oh, I'm in the scene, so these are jokes. These are people I saw just last night. So that's where a lot of courting comedy's kind of authenticity resided.
Is that how it started? Yeah.
Like I used to, when I was a kid, used to just like write these journals that I put online, kind of like Live Journal or MySpace, and it would just detail things I was doing. And I saw this improv troupe, little student improv troupe out of Berkeley, and Jericho, Dave Thomason was in it, and they were great. And that got me into stand-up comedy because Dave opened for them one of those days. And yeah, I was just like, my favorite things of last night, if I saw like a cool picture on MySpace from someone I saw the night before, or if I went back in the archives and saw some like YouTube video that like 40 people saw, I'd be like, all right, I'll put this on the blog. So it just kind of like 10 posts a day for about 5 or 6 years,
whoa, 10 posts a day.
Yeah, it was mostly because it was a Tumblr, so you just would have to put a quote and then a picture and then a video. So then yeah, it was really easy to just like, based on everyone being on the internet and very early internet stuff still being out there, I could slowly start building a level of research.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Okay. I'm sorry, Sal, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about that. Like, so then how did you, did it just like, so how crazy did it grow and grow? Like what came of it, I guess I'm trying to say. Because obviously it took a lot of your time, I'd imagine.
A wife, a happy family. I met my wife through, since it's Tumblr, it's naturally social. So she had a Brent Weinbach joke as her handle for.
Oh, weird, funny.
Blog name. And then she was also going to a lot of LA shows. And then she hit me up about like, oh, is there any shows I should see? And then I didn't think of anything of it. I was like, yeah, go to see Snob Theater, go see, X, Y, or Z. And she was like, "Cool, let's meet up. I owe you for your hospitality. Go get burritos
Dude.
at El Farolitos, and that's the best thing you could get out of a blog, if you ask me."
Hey, this dude picking up women with his blog.
I was gonna say, man, my man,
she's your wife now, right?
This is online
Yeah.
dating. This is online date. This is like, dude, you may have discovered a new dating app, like a new dating, like the comedy dating app. That's kind of awesome.
Funny.
Comedy dating blog based on humor. I mean, you can't go wrong, right? If you got similar sense of humor, you can figure out the rest. So
yeah, it was, because I think with a specific amount of like art, like specific variety of art,
right.
There's like a common language, and yeah, it's just like, oh, every day I get to know a little bit more about my wife just by being around her. And it's like, oh, you like the gorillas? Oh, word! I used to grow up with like being a weirdo. You just start gravitating towards the same things, I guess. So yeah,
so
meeting
weirdos
through Tumblr was dope.
Weirdos
That's
gravitate toward other
hilarious.
weirdos, basically. Like,
Yeah.
like, oh, you like weird shit. I like, but you talking about the gorillas with the animated faces, the because you never saw the real people, right? At least I don't remember ever seeing it. I love the gorillas. I used to.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. I just wanted to make sure. All right,
Hey,
I'm a little weird.
let me ask. You did stand up too, right?
Yeah, I did stand up like
during this time or before this time.
I have been writing jokes with my friends in college because, like, I mean, ironically enough, we the first time I met most of my friends was watching Zach Galifianakis live at the Purple Onion.
Oh wow.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then from there, like, we would go on like road trips because we were in Tempe, so we'd go up to like Flagstaff to see Mike Birbiglia. We once drove all the way out to LA to watch a Tosh Point oh taping, and then go to the Laugh Factory, and then came back the night. Like, we were driving through the night just to get back to school. So we were big comedy fans then. And it wasn't until I saw that improv troupe and met Dave Thomason, I was like, all right, this is like a thing. This is cool. I could go to the dark room, see these people. Most of them are like, really good in a way that I was like, who was holding this information back from me? I could have had this information as a teenager and have been set. I wouldn't have gone to college. And then, yeah, seeing people bomb was dope too. It was just like, oh man, this is art almost like as a sport, because like you could do bad. This is different than Comedy Central or
that's
HBO,
a cool way to put it.
That is a great way to put it. I like that's cold right there. So OJ, let me ask you this. So you grew up in the Bay. Where'd you grow up in the Bay?
I primarily lived in Pittsburgh.
Okay, so you're out on the side of the tunnel.
Yeah, for like 13 years, and then Orinda, Walnut Creek, Concord, all over the suburbs, and then went to college in Tempe for about 3 years, and then I came back to live in the Bay.
Did you go to Arizona State, Tempe, or no?
I went to this tech school called University of Advancing Technology because I thought I liked video games, and I didn't.
Wait, explain that. So did you discover that you like playing video games, but you didn't like creating video games?
I thought it was as immediate as comedy or writing, where it was just like there was a place in the industry to do that, and it's like, no. To make any money, to make any like creative input, you have to like have some type of talent in either programming or art or something like that. Okay. So I kind of went in there with false intentions or false premise of being like, I'm gonna be the Spike Lee of video games. I'm just like, based on what? You don't know how to code. You don't know how to do any of that stuff. So it's going to be an uphill battle. And then it just became like, well, I guess I like Tetris more than going to class. And then it became like, I need to find something else to do.
That's awesome.
Did you graduate?
Yeah, I graduated. I got a BA in art.
And then you went to the Bay. Where'd you live? Did you live in San Francisco?
I initially came back. My parents had moved to Walnut Creek, kind of like because my little brother still had to graduate, and
What year? About what year is this, OJ?
2009.
Oh wow. Okay, that's really okay. Way later. All right. Because I went to St. Mary's in Moraga, so I used to frequent that whole area.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I lived in Lafayette, lived in Moraga, then lived in Lafayette, then moved to Concord, and I was like, "Yo, I'm going the wrong way. Like, I need to. I gotta come
St.
back."
Mary's is the trip because I went there for like the last 2 years of I lived in Orinda and went to Miramani for the last 2 years of high school, and going from Pittsburgh, which is like super diverse, to that, and then the fact that like there's no immediate exit to get to where you're going. It's just this like very low. So this is how y'all do it. Y'all create like M. Night Shyamalan the Village, all the way out one road towns.
Yep.
No fast food except for like the one Taco Bell.
Yeah.
This is
don't forget the Jack in the Box.
We
past the safe.
We can't forget about the Jack in the Box.
Oh wow, that's cool, man. All right. Yeah, that used to be my area for a long time.
That was the old stomping ground.
My old stomping ground.
So, all right, let's get into this book, man. So how?
Hold on. But Sam, before we do that, I want to ask him this because, in the whole process with comedy and writing and even being drawn to it, was there comedy in the house? Where did you have a funny?
Reggie parent? Loves that question. Every
yeah, because I want to. Okay, the reason why I ask is because when I think back on my experiences, growing up, I never thought about being a comedian, but I was always drawn to comedy. Like I used to watch it all the time.
I used to watch like sitcoms and stuff a lot, like 80s sitcoms and that comedy. But I didn't really watch stand-up yet. Okay. And then SNL I got into.
Well, and my dad, he wasn't my dad. He's my mom's husband. Well, the guy that I knew as my dad as a kid, right?
Yeah.
Walter. He used to have these little, 3x5 index cards with jokes on them. So he fancied himself as like a funny guy, but he would like read the jokes off, right? And they were jokes like, "Hey, I got a great watchdog for sale. He watched the people break into my house. He watched them take my furniture, watch him take my TV. He's a great watchdog,
I like this guy."
Yeah.
All right.
That's hilarious.
So I'm always curious whenever I meet people who are in the, in the art of being funny or have been in the art of being funny, if there was some early influence that kind of laid that foundation or even piqued that interest early.
Yeah, I think it was a casual thing. I think like my cousins would have like Raw or Delirious on tape, and then I would like be too young, pop that in. I think also kind of like when I grew up, it was a little bit more accessible in terms of like every Friday was Comedy Central Presents, like every Friday.
Right.
And then like internet radio, there was like this RSS feed that you could put into iTunes and just listen to stand up all day. It was like pre-serious.
Wow.
And then you like a little bit of YouTube. It was just around. And then I think also it was just like one of those things of like, all right, so like how am I going to differentiate myself from like everybody else? And comedy is a good way to do that because it's a very like opaque it's an opaque art form. And as much as like, oh, I could say I love comedy and like know nothing about comedy. Like I was like listening to like Rex Navarrete and Mitch Hedberg and all these like, people who could be headliners by the time I would be able to go to comedy clubs, but like none of my friends were like, "Oh man, did you check out the new did you see Run Tell That? I saw Run Tell That 2 times." Like I saw Run Tell That in the theaters as like a teenager, but just being able to have something to call my own in that way was very important. And then I just loved funny people as like an archetype, because at that time you had like the 100 greatest comedians, and there was all this like kind of like mythology behind comedy, and then you kind of get into who had a set on Def Jam, who had a special that you could find, who had I used to burn like Comedy Central Presents onto like CDs and listen to them while I walked to school. So it was just like,
wow. You're a true fan.
Yeah, I mean that's next level.
Yeah.
See, Sal, you see why I asked the questions, because we get great answers like that. You know what I'm saying? Because that just goes to show like the interest, right? The level.
It's funny because I haven't experienced that. I guess my dad was kind of funny, so maybe that's it. But it was like mean funny. Like if you saw like a old lady crossing the street taking forever holding up traffic, he'd be like, "Oh, why don't you just do everyone a favor and die already?" was so fucked up, but funny, right? I get it.
Yeah, it's dark. It's dark. It's a little mean. It's mean, definitely mean. Right? It's definitely impatient. There's a lot of impatience, right?
And inaccurate. That would cause more traffic.
And inaccurate. This is why that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Can you imagine if she dies in the middle of the crosswalk? Then what is he gonna say then? What are you? You pick a perfect time.
Perfect time to die.
Perfect. Oh, perfect. Oh, look what she did now. She didn't win and died. Like blaming her for dying, which is hilarious. Yeah. So, okay. All right. So, well, hold up. So you hit the San Francisco comedy scene. You decided to do stand up. You remember
and the blog at the same time? It's simultaneous, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. The first set I ever had was at this place called Naya. It was it was on the UC Berkeley campus. It was one of those weird hybrid, like we got gelato and Chinese food. And you're like, oh, I just want to tell jokes. And that was because like Stuart Thompson, this cat named Richard Dryland, they wanted to do the stand-up equivalent of Jericho. So they were like, all right, let's just all get together and write a little bit, and then we'll ask the school to give us an open mic. It only lasted one time, but that's where I met Miles K for the first time. And a few other people. So yeah, they were just like saying, oh, you got to go to Brainwash. And by the time I went to San Francisco to do comedy, I had also just got a job in Foster City. So it was like, all right, I can take the Caltrain, take Bart, back home, and in the meet, like as a stop, I can go to the Brainwash and see what it was at. And when I went there, everybody thought it was Kasim. It was very, and to not know Kasim it was just like, who is this dude?
Well, how? Because
I don't know. Were you insulted, bro?
Yeah, it's
like, first off,
that is like the epitome of all you see is a black dude with a beard, right?
Yeah, OJ is so much taller. He's like
OJ's
50 pounds less. He doesn't have a suit on.
He doesn't have a suit on. He's not. His shoulders aren't hunched over, and he's not coming up to everybody. And it's like OJ is off to the side and the back.
Opposite between quiet and not quiet.
Exactly. Like I'm borderline upset to the point that I'm like, yo, that was straight up racist.
That's that's pretty racist.
Two black dudes with a beard that are completely opposite. It's like, it's that's crazy. Okay.
So, but when I met Kasim, he was like, I think especially around black comedians, you get de facto big brothers all throughout your tenure in stand-up. So like he embraced me and that felt big. Tony embraced me, that felt big. Greg Edwards embraced me, that felt big. So there was just people who were looking out for me who was like, oh, go to the punchline. You can't. Like I heard they'd always point to Kasim. They're like, Kasim was playing around too much, acting like he was too big to go to the punchline, acting like he didn't want to tell jokes. Right. And now he has to work his way up slowly. Like just go there in your first couple months so that you get like FaceTime immediately. And I think everything kind of like sprawled out from the baseline, from the Brainwash, just because it was like, all right, everyone's going to be here. So you're going to meet everybody. And that's where you hear about like, here's an open mic in Alameda. Here's an open mic over in like North Beach. Here's a like.
I got a question. Was this your first time performing on the stage at the Purple Onion?
Probably, because that was like right before Jabari started doing his shows there.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And then I think Justin Scales had me on like a weirdo competition up there trying to pack that place out with open micers. But yeah, I think that was like, because that was if I have it right, that was probably in February or March. And yeah, that Sal booked me to be on a podcast. Like he was doing Sal and Angelo, and he booked me to be on the podcast. It was just like, hey, you're famously a virgin, because I think I had a bit about it or whatever. And then I was like, yeah, I'm famously a virgin. And then like in the meantime, between that booking and then doing the show, I met my first girlfriend through doing stand-up, through
dude, comedy has been good to you, bro.
So yeah, so I had this virgin show lined up, and Ivan, he just lost his virginity. Veronica was still a virgin, and I booked OJ as a virgin, and he lost it before the show.
No way.
So then we did the show live, and yeah, we only had one true virgin, but it was a fun show. It was the only one I ever did at the Purple Onion there.
Hold up, is that why his hand is up and he's like, it was amazing?
Yeah, he had a line explaining it.
He's like, you guys don't understand how long.
You're not gonna believe, and it's got Ivan cracking up.
So OJ, how old are you in this picture then? How old were you when you lost your virginity?
22.
Oh, okay. So yeah, late to the game, but not scary late. Because you get to like 25 and 27, people start going, what the fuck, right? 22 is just like, yo, I got some morals. I was trying to focus on school. I was taking care of business. I wasn't ready. 25 is like, yo, you got to go talk to somebody, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, okay.
It's funny. Comedy brought him a girlfriend. His blog brought him a wife. Unbelievable, man.
Dude. Yeah. Well, because I think at the end of the day, I just need I was looking for my tribe. You know, you don't know who your people are until you meet them.
Right.
And it just became readily apparent, like all the kind of hangups that I had about, you know, oh, do I want like being like, oh, am I doing this wrong in terms of like meeting people and all that? It was like, no, these people, like, I probably had other opportunities, but they were just straight up weirdos. They're just like, just like, oh, I'll take your virginity. And just like, I don't like the way you're saying that. And,
that is hilarious.
Weirdos.
Dude,
give it to me, I'll take it.
Yes, I'll take it. Let me be the one. It's like, whoa, you're way too excited about this. I'm gonna need you to bring it down. Okay. All right. Well, that's cool, man.
All right, can we now talk to the author about what he wrote? Or
yeah. I mean, I just want to lay a foundation.
So there's some foundation. Okay, so this is like a history book, right? Like you had to get some kind of grant or something. How'd you get this off the ground?
So I co-wrote it with Nina G. She's a stuttering comedian out of Alameda, Italian. And she was like, the big homie for a while, because she would do that Alameda mic, and then she just had like so much hustle that we'd end up doing shows and then just talking about mad comedy afterwards. And she was a comedy fan in the Bay as like a teenager, as like a, like from like 10 up, she was watching comedy, watching listening to the Alex Bennett show, watching Comedy Tonight. Like she was like everything you hear about, like, oh yeah, you could make a middle class lifestyle as a comedian in the Bay. Like she was like very like aware of that growing up. It was so cool doing this project, because she was like, oh yeah, I found this like paper I wrote when I was 11 about the first stand-up comedian, and she starts off with a Steve Martin joke, and it's just like,
wow.
She loves comedy, but she didn't do it for so long because, like, she felt discouraged because of her stuttering, and then life happened, and then she got into it later, and that's where we met. And then we were just, in the pandemic, just kind of like talking a little bit more about comedy. And then she was like, oh, there's these like series of books called The History Press by this Arcadia Publishing out in North Carolina. And she was like, oh, we could do this, right? And I was like, yeah, just get a couple pictures, write a couple stories, like it's fine. So we pitched it to them, and they, because of their infrastructure, they're like, yeah, we need stuff like that. We get regionally specific creators and writers who have ties to the subject that they're talking about, and you guys seem pretty embedded. So like, yeah, let's do it. Here's how we do it. We signed a contract, and primarily we just broke it up mid 90s. Like I take everything after the mid 90s, and then she takes everything before, just because of the blog. And she, she knows and loves comedy to the point that like she's just like, oh, like I'll just call Bubs, Larry Bubbles Brown. He'll get me hooked up to this person, that person, that person. I'm already a member of this historical society, so I'll get I get some resources from there. So she was just like, because like there's so much more information about like what happened like during the bubble and after the comedy boom, like comedy bubble.
Right.
And so she was just like, yeah, it's really easy to plot like Mort Saul, Lenny Bruce, Phyllis Diller, Richard Pryor, Martin, Steve Martin, Robin Williams. Like there's like a nice little timeline to it, and there's a lot of resources based on that. And me, I just was like, all right, let me just talk to some people who were there like slightly before me and talk about Cobb's, talk about Punchline, like Almost Losing Those Two. I call them comedy cathedrals, and then just frame it through that. So we, for the next 6 months, we've signed the contract December 2020, and then we were pretty much wrapped in September 2021. So it was a real
wow.
Damn.
Okay. Yeah, you guys
real
were focused.
fast.
I mean, I guess with the time off, right? Like sitting at home, right?
Well, yeah. Do you get paid with that contract?
No. The breakdown was that since they're doing everything from book editing to just making the books themselves, shipping it, promotions, it was like, all right, you do that, you do your thing, and the writing. You do the writing, you collect the photos, and then you get residuals.
So you had to write a book and survive during the pandemic with no job, probably.
I had a job. I was working at this like cannabis company, tech company.
Oh, that didn't get hurt by the pandemic.
No.
It blew up during the pandemic. Yeah. I mean, people
still trying to.
I was gonna say, people who don't even smoke, people who didn't smoke before the pandemic was like,
they started smoking.
It's time to get high. Right? Like, I'm trying to figure out which one I need. Do I need sativa or indica? I don't know which one is it. Which one's gonna make me feel better? Like both. Right?
Yeah. Well, it was an eye-opening experience living or working for that place, because it's like cannabis laws are vastly different from state to state. So I was while I was working on the book, I think I had moved to because I started doing weekend shifts, and I was like, all right, this is just keep me in, hopefully I'll get more hours. And then it became like weekend and then a few weekdays. And then I got all weekdays, which is nice, but I was waking up like at 4 a.m. because we have to service New York and Virginia and Connecticut and all these Eastern states.
East Coast hours. Yeah.
So you just do this all online? You're doing shit online? Okay.
Yeah. So
luckily, were you guys shipping? Is it shipping?
We were primarily the thing I was doing was primarily getting you in touch with a doctor from that state or licensed in that state, so that you could tell them what your problem, then you can get a cannabis card.
Right.
Oh wow.
My problem.
All right, so you're doing the work for the people, man. I thought he was just like dropping weed off to guys at 8 a.m.
He don't work for ease.
Yeah,
he ain't working for ease.
Oh man, this shit's real, dog. It's a medicine. Oh yeah, I forgot. It's a medicine. My bad.
Yeah, exactly. He's giving the CBD cream because they got decades. You know what I'm saying? He next level, man.
A lot of the rest of the country's still behind the times on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
But OJ, I gotta give you guys props, man. I love that that intensity and level of focus to make it start in December and then be done by. I mean, starting December, be done by September, and now it's on shelves, right? Like it's online, it's for purchase. How long is the book? I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna have to get one.
It's 137.
Yeah, it's about 170 pages.
164. 170.
And you started in the early 80s, you said?
Well, the wild thing about it is because we were both the best people to write the book, but also not historians. Okay. We were just learning on the fly. Like we wanted to start it off with the North Beach in the 1950s when you had like Hungry Eye and
Lenny Bruce, baby.
Yeah.
Did Hungry Eye become a strip club?
Yeah. Well, I think the name Hungry Eye became a strip club. I think the other where it used to be turned into something else. But
okay.
Yeah, we just were like, all right, so because you know, stand-up comedy is a American art form, and it is a relatively new art form. So you're just trying to find information. So me reading other history books and Nina, you know, reading other history books and going to lectures and stuff, we found out that it actually started before. Like we're going to include a little bit about Charlie Chaplin living in the Bay for like 2 or 3 years and producing all these films in Fremont. And we're like, all right, that's a cute little thing to bring up. But then we learned there's this guy named Artemus Ward, which is the persona of Charles Farrar Brown, who wrote for like Vanity Fair as like a humor writer. And then he started doing like proto stand-up, like before vaudeville stand-up, but he started on the East Coast and the Civil War was happening. Oh, wow. So he couldn't find, like, socially, it wasn't polite to like laugh out loud in public.
You guys ready to laugh? They're in a Civil War and everybody's dying of bulls. Oh, yeah, boy.
Really.
So he goes to San Francisco and he's doing this combination of like these big theaters, like he's doing fake lectures, he's doing like fake TED Talks, and he goes to all these like kind of like opera houses and he becomes like a sensation. But he's also doing these mining towns, right? So he's going to these places that he's just like, how do you let people know that there's a comedian or entertainment or anything in here? It's like, oh, we light a bonfire and it's a specific bonfire and people, the miners come in and, oh, by the way, we don't really do, you know, like paper money. The greenback isn't really a thing. So we'll hook you up with some gold coins. So it was like, oh, wow. Or gold nuggets. So you had the club dive bar like dichotomy at the very beginning, because he was trying to, like, if he would try to do the same material or do it the same way at either place, high society or low society, it wouldn't hit as well. So he was literally just like creating stand-up on the fly. Wow. And he was friends with Mark Twain, so
that was the one I was going to mention. Yeah, because Mark Twain, I remember he would do it in San Francisco and he would like do a theater. And a lot of people said he was like a first stand-up, but this guy was before Mark Twain.
Yeah.
Wow. Artemus. What's his name again? Artemus
Ward.
Okay.
Artemus Ward. Wow.
Well, did he become an author or anything? Like, do you know any more about him and Twain?
I mean, very in a very Bay Area fashion, he died very young and without a lot of notoriety. But yeah, I think with his story specifically, he was just trying to figure out what the art form was, and he ended up traveling to Europe and getting tuberculosis. But
damn TB.
Yeah, all the things that we found was just like, oh, like he's the first one, and then we kind of jumped.
You know, it's funny. I mean, like stand-up is like an American art form and stuff, but part of me feels also people been gathering around trying to make others laugh in groups since caveman days. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
so it's kind of like, right? Like we've always kind of been, you know, but I guess you're right. It's more of a specific where, okay, this is only what it is.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. You make a money.
I think it's very American to be like, I'm going to be the only one that makes anyone laugh, and I'm going to like huck this across the country.
I'm going to talk and you're going to pay to hear me talk.
Yeah.
Because what I have to say is that important.
Yeah. I'm always fascinated by people who like the fact that he's trying to do something on the East Coast and it's not working. that he was like, I have to do this so much, because it wasn't like there were planes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, I got to go somewhere where I can do this thing that no one else likes. Like most people try to do a thing, it doesn't work out, and they go, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to go fight in the war.
Like, this guy's like, no, East Coast don't get me. I'm going West Coast.
Exactly.
Which is what I did, which was what you did, you know. So.
Exactly. So I'm always wow, that's great, man. That's great.
All right, so OJ was talking about the comedy boom. So I read a lot of it. I didn't read all of it. It's funny. I definitely read the later half, and I didn't know that was you. So I read most of what you wrote. But the college boom, the 80s boom, there's a couple things. It's just crazy. Like, first off, here's the picture he put up of the Holy City Zoo, which is famous.
Oh, yeah.
Robin Williams in the mall performed. And then this became the Dirty Tricks show, right?
Yeah, that became the Dirty Trick Saloon.
Yeah, this little bar. And then this right here was the Rocket Room, the Last Day Saloon. I did a show up there, up on the top with the Hacks. I remember.
Is this Clement?
This is Smith and Clement.
This is Clement. Okay, for whatever reason, I always thought that that the Holy City Zoo was over on Haight-Ashbury, over in that area. But no, this is Clement. Okay.
Yeah, it was right there, right across the street from the Java Source, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, Java Source is a little bit further. You might have been thinking about the other cafe, which was in
that was Hayes Valley, Haight-Ashbury, Upper Haight.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about.
Lower Haight, whatever. But yeah.
We were like, because everything gets kind of exaggerated in memory in terms of like, there was 9 stand-up comedy clubs in San Francisco at one point. I didn't know there was a other cafe in Emeryville, let alone we got some pictures from the people who had those clubs, like Martin Lawrence, like a young Martin Lawrence, and like a Coogee sweater. It's in the book. It's just like, it's very wild, like how enterprising stand-up comedian producers can be.
Yeah. Dude, look at this shit. This was at the Holy City Zoo, 1983. They're doing shows every night. They're having headliners come out, do 5 shows, just like at the Punch, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They got Bobcat Goldthwait. They got Dana Carvey. I mean, this was in 83, but it's $5, $3 on a Thursday. Like, this was crazy. I was like, there was multiple of these all over the area. Like, comics would come to San Francisco in the 80s, and that's it. You never had to leave the city to work.
You could work.
You could work just in the Bay Area. Like, that's insane. Like, that's what I wanted. Like, that sounds amazing. Yeah. Wow. Unbelievable, dude.
That's so impressive. I mean,
now you're right. A lot of these names you don't recognize anymore, but a lot of them you do.
But a lot of them you do, though. I mean, I remember Dr. Gonzo. I remember hearing about him from somewhere. Dana Carvey.
Steve Kravitz, his picture looks familiar, but I don't know who that is.
Rick Reynolds. Either way it goes, I mean, you've heard about the Bay Area being like a hotbed for comedy, like a place for comedians to come and to hone their crafts, and to, the famous story of Richard Pryor, of him being who he was, deciding to just drop all that and then coming to the Bay and being in San Francisco and trying to find his new self, or his new voice, right?
Right.
And everyone else is gravitating from different parts of the world coming here, and then eventually they come here, they hone their craft, and then they go to LA or they go to New York to blow up. But maybe, I mean, I got to read the book, but maybe San Francisco was a spot where you could actually really kind of make it happen. Oh, look at
Whoopi. Yeah, man. The Valencia Rose. That's another like small one, right?
Dude, Mom's Mabley. Okay, recreated by that's the one she won a Tony for this or something, or she won some awards.
I'm not sure. I think it was for her she did a show called The Spook Show, where she did like 4 different characters, and wildly different. I think she performed in front of, like, in the Bay, in front of a poet named Alice Walker, who then told Steven Spielberg. It's so wild because it's like the Bay Area is just like, all right, it is, it has the culture, South Bay, East Bay, North Bay, the city, but then it's just like, no, fucking George Lucas set up shop here. Yeah. Like all the
Francis Ford Coppola.
Where's this for Coppola? Like, this is like bonkers. It's
Pixar.
Yeah, Pixar.
ILM. All you're right. And I always love that because those guys, they could have rocked in Hollywood. They made it and then they moved back up there and they were just like, this is what it is.
Yeah. So I think with Whoopi, I think we found kind of like an archetype, especially in the 70s, a little bit in the 80s, of just like, you come to the Bay because of like stand-up tradition, but like it becomes almost cartoonish to say like, oh, Steve Martin, he was writing in LA and had a good time, but he would make frequent stops at this place called the Intersection Cafe in the basement of an old church, and was from that foundation wrote a lot of his like mid-70s like big hit stand-up bits. And then the next time he comes around, like, he's a superstar. He could sell out the Hollywood Bowl. Like,
wow. So he honed his craft. Those, he sharpened his tools, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then went off and made it happen. And that's awesome, man.
I mean, the Bay has such like smart crowds too. I think it really does help.
Look, and the thing that I've always loved about the Bay and the Bay Area comedy scene was I love the small venues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like A Cup of Tea in Berkeley was this small cafe. I mean, a small little room in the back of a coffee shop on College and Alcatraz or something. And then, just the small rooms, man, the small rooms, they make you conversational, you get comfortable. It's like, it's just the Bay is just the best.
They appreciate the art more up there too. Like down here, people are way ruder. Like there's always someone on their phone. There's always someone talking. Like they don't give
respect
a fuck.
The craft the same,
no,
right?
not at all. Like I respect fame. I don't respect the art,
right.
And that's the difference between the two. I feel. Here's another person you might recognize, Reg. She was on our podcast. Diane Amos. Baby.
Diane Amos. Wow. And Michael D. Oh, I know Booker. Michael Booker.
Yeah.
Oh man, I got a great story about Michael Booker. It's whatever. I won't go into.
Well, what is that, Reg? You can't just tease us, bro.
Well, okay. So Michael Booker had a room in San Leandro, I think.
Oh yeah, I did it. The Englander. I did that once.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I do the Englander as a feature for someone, and I had a great set. It goes well. He wants to bring me back to headline, right?
Yeah.
So I'm booked to headline the Englander, and but at the same time, I'm still trying to get in at the Improv and the Punchline and whatever. And I got a feature week at the Improv, at the San Jose Improv. I got a feature week, but I was supposed to the Englander was just a one-nighter, right? So I was supposed to headline, and I called him with days in advance. I was like, "Hey, Michael, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to cancel the headlining gig because I got the feature week at the Improv opening for, I don't know, someone like Damon Wayans or something, right?"
Yeah.
And Michael goes, "Oh, Reg, come on, man." Right? I was sitting, like, he was trying to make me feel bad, but then he goes a step further. He goes, "But I've been advertising you all week on our little automated streamer thing that goes by at the bar." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm sorry." I was like, I can't turn out a feature week for a one-nighter, right?
That's 5 shows to one, right?
That's 5 shows to one, and it's way more. And I said, okay, well, this is what I'll do. I'll find someone else to headline for me. And he goes, "All right, man, I appreciate that, but man, Reg, I've just been advertising you all week."
So wait a minute, who'd you get? Because I don't remember getting the call.
I ended up getting Kevin Avery.
Okay.
Kevin Avery, yeah. Because I was like, I got to get somebody. I think he knew Kevin too, so he felt comfortable with that. But that was the last time I talked to Michael Booker. Right?
Michael Booker was no longer your booker.
Well, it's just that after I contacted Avery and Avery agreed to do it and this whole thing, and they contacted each other, I had a moment where I was like, this dude tried to make me feel bad about giving up a one-nighter for a week. I was like, he don't understand comedy.
Well, it's funny. That's another thing. Like down here,
he was a nice guy. I
booked the shows, and almost every show, one of the comics is bailing for something else. You know what I mean? And some of them find someone else and someone don't. And it's just like, It's like all the time, dude.
Dude,
That's just the thing.
It happens with Live Nation all the time. Headliners fall out because they get
you got to go where the work is. Man.
Hey, dude, if you get a TV show, it's like I'm filming a pilot for a TV show that could turn into a thing. Yeah, right. I'm sorry, I got to give up the weekend.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah,
right, so
good to see Michael Booker on there. Okay.
So I got this book, Reg, and I got to admit, I missed the first day. I didn't even know OJ wrote me something personal and signed it because I was too busy looking for the section about me in the book.
You see, narcissism. You see what narcissism gets you. Let me find me.
Right there. I was like, where's one? Page 139. Okay. Now, there you go. My favorite thing about this, OJ, I'm really stoked. And so here's the section. Well, Ben Feldman's on there. He was playing online trivia with me the other day, and he was bragging about how he has a picture in there. But the other page, there's an entire list of all these shows, like all these one-liners, all these shows he do. But then
one-nighter,
my show, the Twisted Biscuit, gets a page and a half, buddy. We get a whole story. So
nice.
He lets it know.
The wild thing is that like I talked to Kevin Kamiya, I talked to Greg Edwards, we talked to a lot of people. We talked to Tom Amiano, Tony Sparks, and because I just wanted to get kind of like the character of like the early 2000s to 2010. I just didn't know beyond like what I could pull from archived versions of sfstandup.com or qcomedy.com. So everybody kept mentioning like, oh, like the height of kind of the creativity that represented stand-up at the time was the Twisted Biscuit. I was just like, oh, what's going on? They're like, oh yeah, there's some shows and over there, there's some open mics over here. But a lot of people got up for the Twisted Biscuit. And there's a weird trend in comedy history books where like anything after like 1999 kind of gets lumped into like a paragraph. They all just kind of wrap it up real quick. They're like, oh, and then, people were really into comedy in the 80s, and then the 90s happened and not so much. And then it's MySpace, and then I guess Twitter and podcasts. They just got to like start listing technical advancements. And in between writing about Cobb's almost burning down and almost losing the punchline from that location, I was just like, well, what's San Francisco? And what's San Francisco comedy? And a open mic that's super far and hard to get to, that's basically roasting each other, that becomes weirdly a competition. Like those three elements are very San Francisco.
I love the first sentence he opens with it. He writes, Twisted Biscuit started as three comics trying to make one another laugh at the edge of the world. Because it was true. Like sometimes you go out there and then the fog hits as you're getting closer. You're like, where the fuck am I?
But he's right though. You step out the Seabiscuit, you look to your left and there's the ocean. Right? Like
yeah. We used to have bonfires on that beach. That was the best part. Like after a competition, we'd go out there, and then we'd have bonfires.
Yeah, it was the thing I loved about that, because I also like quote Sal's podcast in the book as well, as like, oh yeah, Jasper Red in a Sal Kalani podcast was like, oh, I decided to go to the Bay because of all of the, comedy albums that I heard there. And I think just people being resources is so dope. Like Sean, like a lot of those pictures of comedians from that time is like Sean Robbins just being like, yeah, you could take these. Thanks. It's almost like a level of camaraderie from doing stand-up at that time of just like, yeah, like that was wild. You're doing a book about it? All right. Like I'd love to help support you. Like a lot of people who I don't even really know like that, is like, I understand and appreciated my time in comedy. So let me kind of add to the collective story of comedy. And
dude, I tell you right now, during that time, stand-up wise, the comedy, the creativity, like alternative comedy was on the rise. And you just had these guys who was like laser sharp focused, right, on their craft, and the range of creativity, right, the amount of different comedy that was happening. But with all that happening, there was very little competition. Like everyone was literally writing groups together, sitting in the green room, going over jokes, helping each other, giving up tags, sitting in the back room watching and be like, yo, I just heard. Like there was just so much brotherhood, right? Like community. Community. That's one of the things I miss the most about, because, obviously people start moving to LA, moving to New York, and then things start happening. You kind of lose a little bit of that. But during that time, man, I don't know if there's been another time as good as that one, as far as just the camaraderie.
What was that Weinbach joke that your wife had on her Twitter or
Tumblr? Her Tumblr name was Hell Nah, Hell Nah.
Oh my God.
Oh, hell no, hell no. Okay,
dude, hold up. Just for the record, I did Weinbach's joke yesterday because I was talking about one of my favorite Brent Weinbach jokes is, I used to substitute teach in Oakland, where I'd often hear, hell nah, hell nah. Here's an example of a time when I would hear that. Hey, Mr. Weinbach, can I go to my locker? Hell nah, hell nah. Go back to your seat. Right? And scene. Dude, I love that joke.
I wrote one of his funny jokes. They're making fun of his pants. Yeah, your pants are so small. He's wearing his little brother pants. He wearing hammy-ups.
He said, yeah. What about
I remember one time before I was even
Cretia?
up at the punchline, I remember Molly came up to me and she goes, "Hey, I heard you wrote that hammy-ups joke." I'm like, "Yeah, thanks." Yeah, he's motherfucking using it. But then it's funny. I saw Chris Rock's what's the one he did? The Wonder Years like one? Oh, everybody hates Chris, and he uses that line in there.
No,
so yeah, it was around the same time. I don't know, but I was just like, oh, that's funny.
We were all together when we were at your place in the sunset.
Yeah, we were at my place when we came up with it.
Yeah, we came up with hand-me-ups. Man, his pants so tight. What you wearing? Your little brother? He went hand-me-ups.
Yeah. Here's inside the Seabiscuit. And do you know who this woman is? Remember her, Reggie?
Sammy Safer.
This Sammy Safer. You know who she is, OJ? She discovered the Broad City Girls.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Sammy's dad was a big time record producer, right?
Yeah, like Sublime. He like managed Sublime, I think.
It was Sublime, and when he part of Metallica too, like it was something huge.
Yeah.
So she grew up in LA. She came to the Bay just trying to find herself away from home on some level. And we used to all hang out together. She eventually moved back to LA. And then once she got to LA, she got into the industry. And then before you know it, she started booking talent. And then boom, 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 boom. Sammy Safer is like next level now. So
yeah, I mean, I don't want because there's two things that I kept bumping into right in the book was like, all right, so what? For like certain people who like grew up here, lived here as like a child, and then went off and did something. It's just like, how much juice can I get out of like Will Forte being from Lafayette? Like probably very little, right? But then the other thing was just like, all right, so like these things are all happening, but San Francisco is a beautiful city. It's a very international city. There's like the Great Migration and all these immigration patterns. So like it had to happen somewhere. But then at the same time, it's like one of my best friends is the voice for Comedy Central. Like,
wow.
Every fucking era of comedy has been influenced by the Bay Area in some way. And it's just like, I could downplay it as a very San Francisco move. Like, yeah, it's not that special. I mean, Robin Williams, Whoopi Goldberg, Dan Carpenter. Like, I could be that person, but at the same time, it's just like, no, fucking Robin Williams, Dana Carvey, Whoopi Goldberg should be all you need to say as like this place creates stars. Like
that's awesome. Yeah, Richard Pryor even going back up there to reset or whatever.
Or even your class really inspired me because it was like, in addition to like Reggie and Kevin and Kamau and Greg and Kasim and Jabari and all that, it was like you could tell who was on the rise and y'all knew them, it's like, If I were to say like who's the most influential comedians today, like specifically today, who's doing interesting things or who's like capturing the zeitgeist today, it's Ali, it's Hassan, it's Kamal. Like those are fundamental voices of 2000 or 2022 comedy. It's just like that's nuts.
Ali Wong is the voice of a generation, bro. Like
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm like, and we used to all just hang out together. Like it's and Kamal, watching Kamal has such an interesting story of like the turning point, right? Like I just, we've done tons of shows on the road and in San Francisco, open mics, whatever case. But there was a very pivotal point for him. And it was when, and I'm not gonna tell his whole story.
Well, it's in the book. They cover it about the one person show.
Well, no, but prior to that, what was the catalyst for that?
The catalyst for the one person show. I remember this. Here we go.
Yeah, he and Kevin go over to either Korea or Japan. They go somewhere.
Japan. It was for Daniel Dugar's Japan tour.
Okay, so they go to Japan to perform for the troops, and Avery does fine, but Kamal's brand of comedy just wasn't hitting. Right, they just weren't feeling it. So when he left, he felt so disgruntled about comedy. It was just a thing of like, why am I doing this? What's the point? I'm stepping away. And he starts teaching a one-man show class. In the process of teaching the class, they're like, well, won't you do a one-man show? And so he starts the one-man show, which turns into ending racism in about an hour, right? Yeah. And it gains traction. He has friends that are in the right place at the right time, and they're promoting, and the show is evolving. And then it turns into buy one, bring a friend of opposite race, get in for one price, and the show gets more and more attention. And it's a great show. I saw the very beginning of it, the foundation of which was phenomenal. And it's like he found his thing, right? It was like stand-up was kind of one of those things where even when I used to watch Paul Mooney, I used to always say, as much as Paul Mooney wants to talk about race and racism and race issues in the country, no matter what, at the end of whatever he's talking about, he's got to get to the punchline because it's a comedy club, right? So with Kamal, the one-man show gave him that space to be funny, but to be poignant and also be serious if you wanted to, you know what I mean? And so then boom, it blows up, and and now we're talking about history. Kamal Bell, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, that's a San Francisco tradition, You got your Margaret Gomez, people who did Defending the Caveman, like some of the biggest one-person shows. Margaret Cho fucking flipped the whole script on her whole career by being like, no, this was like bullshit. Right. Like I could tell these jokes at like the Rooster Teeth Feathers about my life, but I'm gonna give you the entire story about not only where I came from, but the me doing the show, and I think that propelled her to do one-person shows continuously, and then music and all that. And it's just like there's such a level of like kind of like confidence in doing what you do
right
in the Bay Area, and from people from the Bay Area, and it's really hard to pin down, but it's really dope in kind of a collective retrospection.
Yeah.
Well, hey, before we wrap anything up, we speaking of Bay Area, we lost somebody this week from the Bay Area scene.
Yeah,
Susan Alexander passed away.
Yeah. And Susan Alexander.
Yeah, she used to run 50 Mason, Asian woman. So I've came across this.
Wait, Susan Alexander?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, I didn't mean to break it on you.
Oh man, that's sad. Because I follow her. I used to follow. She was. Okay.
Well, we don't know. I don't know what happened. Do you, OJ?
Yeah, I don't know.
But here's an old screenshot I found of her at the Twisted Biscuit, sitting right up front as Robert Sandler comes up doing her. And there she is. It's really a little blurry, but she's laughing along. Yeah. And there's Kamia. There's Edwin Lee. And wow. She loved the comp, and she was always she was good fun. She was a hustler, man. She would book 50 Mason. It was always packed.
Man, Susan Alexander, she man, this is sad because I felt like when she left the Bay, I forget where I think she moved to New York, wherever it was. Yeah. She was focused, man. She was really trying to get her thing going, and she was doing her videos, right? Like her shorts and her videos, and had like a little talk show panel type of deal, and green screens. I know she had lost some weight, and I didn't know if there were any health problems or any health complications in regards to that. But Susan was always really nice, Man, that's okay. I wasn't expecting that. That was
I'm
okay.
sorry, Reg.
No, it's all right, man. It's just there's a lot going on personally for me right now, and so like to hear that, there's a little part of me that's just like dang, yeah, okay, but yeah, rest in peace to Susan Alexander, man.
Yeah, well, I didn't mean to bum you out there.
No, it's all right, man. It's all right.
Anyway.
It's okay.
So OJ, where can people get the book? They could go on Amazon. They could go.
That's a
online.
horrible segue, by the way. Sam, you could have probably waited.
Bay Area comics die all the time, right? Robin Williams is in there.
No, now you're just gonna be there. Everybody dies all the time.
Everybody dies.
I mean, my dad made a joke about a lady crossing the street that he wished would have just did everybody a favor. All right. So no, but okay, we'll skip that. But I'm super, I'll say this before we get to that. I'm super excited about the book, man. I can't wait to read it. I will go online and purchase my copy today. And yeah, man, congratulations to you and Nina. I was just
what do you have coming up next? You got a bunch of other book deals?
I don't know. I think right now we're just trying to get the word out. I think with this book specifically, it just allows so much people to kind of like reminisce and look through their old pictures and get real wistful about it.
I mean, when I read it, it was pretty accurate. The feeling and the vibe of the time, it all made pretty much sense to me.
Yo, can I address this real quick? Sal, they literally just put the book out, right? And you're already talking about the next book. Like,
well,
hold up though.
He finished writing it last year. He got to get on the next project.
Dude, you know what that's equivalent to? That's equivalent to you just have a baby and it's still new, and someone's like, so when you gonna have the next one?
Yeah.
It's like, yo, this one is days old.
It's like, this is great. What's next?
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, yo, how about we let this book have a chance to grow and to get some feet, gain some traction, get running, right? Let them do the press tour. Let them talk about the book first.
All right, so where can we get it? Amazon? Where else?
Well, we have a website, BayAreaStandUpComedy.com, and we have a buy it locally if you can. I saw some people had it. There's a few bookstores in the Bay Area that has it, and there's a place called Books on B in Hayward, and they have signed copies as well. But wherever you can find it,
okay,
you
so
can
buy
find
locally.
It.
I like your little signature here. What is that? An eyelash? A coronavirus? What is that?
No, I think I fashioned myself as like when I was a teenager, of just like, oh, what if like it was OJ, but then I had like alien antenna stocks.
Oh, okay.
Antenna stocks, and it was just a holdover from that. But yeah,
well, I dig it.
What I want, what I want to do is I'd love to write more, specifically San Francisco comedy history books, because we didn't even get into like long form improv started in the Bay with the committee in Del Close, and we have and I was talking to Paco Romain, and he was like, oh yeah, in like the mid 2000s there was like 60 sketch comedy groups, and we didn't even get to talk about any of that. And then I was talking with Kevin about the Color Funny comedy competition in Oakland with Al Manalo, and it was just like, all right, I can't find a place to put it in this book, but the next book has to have like Asian Americans in comedy or South Asian Americans in comedy. Like there's so much that went down that we had to like really focus on what happened and not what was happening, because what happened was like dates and figures, television shows, movies, like big names, whatever. That's what we found in the Chronicle. But like what was happening and what our hope is continuing to happen is just like a cultural revolution on a way that can't be recreated in any other city in the you know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that we can write about with just that, and then like any other creative, I have other projects.
I think it was the smart move to the first book to go with stand-up and not improv. That was a very good move.
What are you talking about? Improv is a cult. You could get a lot of people wanting to see themselves represented in an improv book.
Yeah, maybe it's true. That's true.
You get to talk to Diane. If you do decide to go down the path of improv, you got to talk to Diane Amos, because
absolutely,
because she was. I mean, we had her on the show, man, and when she got into the improv troops at the time when she was doing it and working with Robin Williams and them, just making it happen, man, she has a wealth of knowledge about that. So please,
And
I didn't even didn't want to cut you off, but Cobbs was created by an improv group, Femprov.
Yeah, because what's his name? Tom Sawyer did improv. He broke Joe Klosick's ribs one time doing that shit. Yeah, he did some kind of move. Oh, Wheeler was telling me he was like fake humping him or something from behind, and he broke Joe Klosick's ribs. So put that in the book.
Yeah, that's funny. I almost want to be like, man,
but if you do, ribs. If you do,
I blame the person that gets hurt. I blame him for getting hurt. Man, Joe got them soft ass ribs.
He got them soft ass ribs.
What are you doing with them weak ribs? You can't take a little hump from the back.
Can't even fake hump a man without
you can't take it. You can't take a Heimlich maneuver. You can't handle a Heimlich, dog.
Yeah, dude. No, that's a whole crazy thing. But if you do sketch groups, don't forget to interview me for the next book with my sketch group, Toss and Alice. There's Greg. Greg Edwards had a short spit in it too. But
wow. Yeah, Toss and Alice. I forgot about you guys.
That's how we did the Lucifer's Crew Cut movie. It was based off of a sketch from that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
But anyway, all right. Well, OJ, we appreciate you coming on, taking the time, man.
Yeah, man, you've been phenomenal, man. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for getting the book. Whoever gets it, and thanks, in advance for all the high praise. And sorry if you're not sorry if you're not included as much as I had to field so many questions. Like, I'm in this book, right? It's like.
I'm glad I'm in it and Reggie's not. It's so cool to be able to say that. So I appreciate that.
He hits me up and he goes, we got to get OJ on. He just co-authored a book and I'm in it. Right? And OJ, I go like this. I go, wait, hold up. Am I in the book? And he goes, nope. And
I just set up a gift
no
with the guy going.
I go, no OJ for the interview, dog. No OJ. So it's all good though. I'm only joking. I'm in other books, so I'm fine.
Hey, it's an honor. I appreciate being a part of Bay Area history, man. That was a fun time doing those crazy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it, man. I'm excited. So
yeah, and I'm looking at the history. Yeah, it's so deep. This is another thing I was going to say before I let you go. You could tell the research they did, because on the website it says how Cobb's opened in 1982, and they're like, nah, we found out how they did a show back in the fall of '81. This was the lineup. I'm like, what the fuck? How do you know that?
That's lovely. I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, OJ, thank you once again, man, for taking the time. Good luck to you and Nina and the book. And I'm excited to check it out. And hopefully we can see you again, maybe for the next one.
Man, we'll keep in touch.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Anytime.
Right. Yeah, man. Have a great day. Take care.
Have a good night.
Bye.
There it is, Reg. So before we go, Reg, did you see what I was drinking out of?
Yeah, you got the Yeti. I'm telling you, save that money. It's great, right? It's great.
Here's the thing.
It's great, right? Hold on, answer that. It's great, right?
It's like I'm carrying a goddamn kettlebell around. It's a little heavy. It's a little
save the money. You need to work out anyway. You need to work out. Get you some of these.
I do like how it stays cold.
Yes, it stays cold 24, 48 hours, bro.
I do like that.
I'm telling you, it's awesome. So, and stop drinking out of plastic. You got a reusable resource that's actually really good, right?
Yeah.
And you save some money, man. So yeah, way to go. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
I had it and I was like, I'm sick of cutting myself. Yeah. All right. So yeah, here's the book. Go check it out, everybody. Good times.
Check it out.
There's I think Bubbles in the back. Yeah,
that is Bubbles. Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, all right, man. Well, that was great, man. I'm glad we had OJ.
Learned some stuff. I didn't even know about that other guy before Mark Twain. That's crazy.
Artemis Ward.
I always heard about Twain, but I was unaware of Artemis.
That's a hell of a name for you too.
He got to do comedy with that. He's like, fuck this. I ain't going to war.
Wait, did you hear what OJ said though? It's like, what happened to him? He said, far too often, like the Bay Area, he died young without any fanfare. Like, oh, damn. Like, with not any fanfare, but without very much attention to something. It's like another person who did something amazing, gone to the wind.
Gone.
Gone. So,
another one gone. Another one bites the dust.
Doom.
Boom. All right, close us out.
All right. Well, hey, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's episode with our
Reggie
guest, OJ
Mercury.
Patterson. OJ Patterson, co-author of Bay Area Stand-Up. We're happy to have him. He was a wonderful guest. We hope you enjoyed it. We love doing this. We'll be here every week. If you do like it and you do enjoy it, please share, subscribe, and tune in. We'll be back next week. That's Sal Kalani. I'm Reggie Steele, and this is Spitballin'. Peace.